Hello, dear friends, my lovely audience. Welcome to the show, Jack Chow on the East West Show with G&E TV. Once again, we're talking about LA as a county. LA as a county with 11 million people, with 11 million taxpayers, we deserve the best. We're the best of the nation. We are the largest, of course, as a county of the nation. We deserve the best service. We deserve the best department. That department, the sheriff department, needs a sheriff, needs a leader. The leader should be the one who really knows the word leadership. So today, in talking about the big subject, we named the show, It's Time. It's time to do so. It's a decisive moment. Well, we're now in mid-April, right? We're only talking about the first week of June on the 5th, though. We're talking about barely 2 months' time, right? So now it's time to do the job. With me today in talking the big subject, I believe my audience have already recognized a public icon already, and the figure that been on cameras and papers everywhere for almost 40 years of service.
49.
49 years of LA County Sheriff Department. The former Sheriff Lee Baca. Honorable Lee Baca, please put our hands together for him.
Well, you're so kind.
All right, good. Well, you earned it. You earned it. Seriously, you earned it. And we, the community, everybody knows that how hard you work and how much you have contributed to LA as a county, right? So good for you, God bless. And next to him is the one that Lee Baca, the former sheriff, is supporting as the candidate for the future sheriff. What amazing scene here. We have the former sheriff, we have the future sheriff, Bob Lindsay, commander of LA County Sheriff Department for 32 years, plus another 7 years in court, though. You're talking about 39 years in law enforcement. Who knows LA from head to toe, like in the back of your own hand? Mr. Bob Lindsay, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jack. It's great to be here.
Right. And my audience honestly have recognized you already because you've been on my show for no less than a dozen times.
Yes.
Right. So, and through those times, we owe you a lot for bringing us the pictures about how LA as a county is doing. Right.
Well, Jack, I think the community owes you a lot for letting them know what's happening in the community.
I'm doing my job.
Yes, you are.
All right, good,
Yes, you
very
are.
good. It's a good thing that everybody does the job. This is his job to better our community, for the betterment of the community, right? So now, sir, briefly, I would like you to give us a little update of the campaign, and I'll give the microphone to former sheriff to give us a little bit about LA, the department, its tradition, its history, all the way up to today. How about that? So your update of your campaign, please.
Well, that's going to take the sheriff 15 shows to do that. But
Oh yeah, of course. We want to do it as concise as possible, right?
yeah. But let me say this. Our campaign, as you said, the voting is June 5th. In fact, first part of May 7th, they mail out absentee ballots. So voters should be looking for their absentee ballots sometime around May 10th.
2 weeks.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah,
It's
2
going to
weeks.
happen right now.
Yeah.
So they need to read, they need to make decisions, but they need to vote. They really need to get out and vote. Where we are with this campaign is you're going to see our signs coming up all over Los Angeles County. Now remember, Los Angeles County is 4,100 square miles. So it's a lot of area. So we're looking for people who want to volunteer. We're looking for people who are willing to put our yard signs in their yards. We're looking for people who will just help us get the word out that we care, that we're going to make great changes in the community, and that we are working together, not just for this campaign moment, but for the entire future.
All right, I like that. I like the latter part even better. All right. Okay. Speaking about how spread we are, though, you are though. My house, if anybody passing the front, they'll see the sign on the right-hand side, and then when you turn over, they'll see another on the other side, the east side. Okay,
Yes.
now. And the other day I was at the 7-Eleven. I came across a bunch of people, and they're putting signs. I look at the signs. Oh, that's Bob Lindsay.
Yes, very
Your
nice.
signs. When they saw my car, the tail said, "Vote for Bob Lindsay for county sheriff," though, and they shook hands with me.
Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going
That's
to bring
how
the
popular
community
you
together.
are. That's how popular you are. And my son has your sign. My wife has your sign. My ex-wife has your sign. And by the way, I have 2 more ex-wives. I'm rich.
3?
All right, very good. Okay, that's how popular Bob Lindsay is. Why there are that many people supporting? Because he's the man. He's the man we're talking about. The man with the 32 years of experiences in the department, being everywhere, every corner of the department, the jail, traffic, recruitment, and so on and so forth. If I use a quote from himself, so he knows every door of the house, and on the door, every hinge of the door.
That's
Something
right.
like that kind of, right? Okay, now, campaigns look so far so good.
Yes.
Right? And we do not want to take it for granted. We're going to keep on working, keep on going. Like he says, well, the voting is one thing, and the winning is one thing, and the future day into day in, day out.
We've been working hard, and now we're working harder.
Okay, very
That's
good,
it.
very good. And thank you very much for the update. And I would like to turn to Sheriff, though. And by the way, I appreciate very much that you visit this studio here. And we, as taxpayers, appreciate very much the fact that you support him, you endorse him. Why would you endorse him, please, if I may?
Well, it's very simple. It's all about people, the people of Los Angeles County, for example. The Sheriff's Department belongs to them. And those of us who are fortunate to be a member of the Sheriff's Department, to have the various positions from Deputy Sheriff all the way up to the position of sheriffs. But remember, it's an organization. If the folks in the audience that are listening to us would like to know, I'd like to share this, that there are 18,000 employees in the Sheriff's Department. Every race, every religion, every ethnicity, male and female combined, all of that belongs to the public. And therefore, the institution of public service and keeping people safe is not merely with crime alone. It has to do with the identity of the people as well. In other words, most people do not commit crime. But at the same time, they want to be respected, they want to be served, and they want their communities to be as safe as possible. Invest a lot of money in their homes. Some people obviously are homeless. The Sheriff's Department has had a great outreach for the homeless people. That has gone downhill. We can't just ignore the people that have nothing. We have to treat everyone equally. And these are the things that I promoted, and Sherman Block before me promoted, and every sheriff before Sherman Block has promoted. But when I retired, I regret to say that the people that came in to take over on an interim basis destroyed core values, destroyed the Asian Crimes Task Force that was very effective, because when the Asian society is victimized by watching and other gang type behavior, then when we are there to be their servants, they will not report it to us because of the shame of a home invasion and robbery. So the Asian Crimes Task Force was designed to reach out, Asian deputies speaking Chinese to a lady or a man who are Chinese, and give them the confidence to report the crime so we can go after the people who committed the crime. So the point of Bob's campaign is that he understands historically, since 1850, see, the Sheriff's Department is the oldest law enforcement agency in the county of Los Angeles, and one of the older ones in terms of the entire state of California, 1850.
Oh.
And so we cherish the tradition of service. Fortunately, that motto was something Sherman Block and myself and others had a contest. We wanted it to be named, and so the deputy came up, a tradition of service. And once that service starts to be tampered with by politics, by not knowing who the top decision makers are in the sheriff's department that contribute openly to making it a better department.
You're certainly talking about a legacy created since the year of 1850 to be carried upon, to be carried on.
Correct.
Right? Uninterruptedly. Right? And by the way, I don't care who destroyed who destroyed what. I do care the community. When I see, like I just mentioned to you, when I see things no longer as they used to be, I knew something is wrong. It is not my job to point out what is wrong, why it is wrong, but it is my job to point out it is wrong, man. Like that kind of thing, right? And it's subject to you to find out how you want to restore it. It's subject to you how you want to make sure that your department, I know that you've been serving that department for 49 years. 49 years to lots of people, they don't even live for 49 years, right? They die halfway. That's a long time.
Well, if I may add to that, when I joined the department in 1965, we didn't have the diversity in Los Angeles County to the level that it is today. We have every nation of the world population here becoming part of the American dream. And so the people who are in charge of the law enforcement should be sensitive to bringing the people as a part of the department, engaging with the deputies and hosting young people summits so that the young people can grow with confidence that they're not going to be discriminated against by any law enforcement agency, but particularly the Sheriff's Department has not been an agency that will discriminate against people.
All right, very loud, very loud statement, and very sounding statement. I would say that I like that. I like it a lot. And my dear audience, today we're talking about a very big subject. It is time for us to go ahead to start exercising our right of democracy to cast a vote on a man for the job as sheriff of LA County Sheriff Department, right? So we need that. We need to make sure that the LA as a county goes on. LA Sheriff Department as a department with a legacy established since year of 1850 to be carried on.
Yes.
So now we lay by several layers the weight on you. You're a big man now.
That's okay.
On
We'll hold it
you
up.
to do the job. All right. Let's take a very short moment out. When we come back, we'll check with you one by one those points that Sheriff just made. Right. How you want to carry on, how you want to do it put it into practice. All right. So stay with us, my dear friends. Hello, dear friends, my lovely audience, my dear fellow Angelinas, welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on the East-West Show with the GND TV. Today, I'm especially honored. Me and my team are being visited by former sheriff of LA County Department, and a man of legacy, a man of tradition, a man of 49 years of 49 of the glorious years of service, to which we, community members, recognize, we keep in mind, we cherish the contribution that he has made so far. And it looks, obviously, he still continues contributing to the community by walking out to support the one he handpicked, which is Bob Lindsay, to be the next county sheriff. In other words, he never stops working. All right, He's still working. Now, thank you very much, Sheriff, for doing
You're
that.
welcome.
And excellent statement and excellent point and excellent pick. I know you have 16 or 17 commanders in the structure and 18 employees in the department, and he is the one that you pick to support, right? So now it looks at either from the eye of community members, taxpayers, or from the eye of the department, from the county sheriff, former sheriff. You have weights laid several layers on your shoulders. How do you want to do the job is a good thing. It's a good big question, right? One by one. Number one, he just mentioned that the department is not only doing law enforcing, also it has the community to hold on to. The community, 1968, when he became a sheriff, was not diversified as much as today. Mm-hmm. Now you're handling the most diverse county of the United States, and yet you're talking about a big job to do and public safety to hold on to. How do you want to turn it into positivity rather than negative, please?
You know, Jack, one of the things that you talk about when we talk about diversity and what the sheriff talked about back in 1968, when you look at the two of us, we have 88 years with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. In one department. It's 88 years of experience. The current sheriff has 3 years of experience. So when you compare the 88 years that we have, you can count on the fact that we know the department historically, and we know what the department has become, and we know what it is today. Now, in 1998, this sheriff, who is the community sheriff, this is probably of all time the sheriff that was out in the community the most. I worked for Peter Pitchess, who was the sheriff. I worked for Sherman Block, and then I worked for Sheriff Lee Baca. In 1998, he brought me in to Personnel Bureau. This sheriff brought me in. And as a visionary, he was looking at what he just talked about. He told me, the community is diverse. We don't look like the community inside the department. We need to change that. And he gave me the honor of changing it. He allowed me, the captain's position there, to hire from the entire community. And that's what we did. Over the course of time, being a sergeant in recruitment and backgrounds and being the captain of recruitment and backgrounds, I've hired more than 7,000 deputies. So I know how to hire diversity. And you know what really doesn't make any sense to me today is when the current sheriff stands up and says, there's not enough qualified people out in the community. We know that's not true.
That's an insult to me.
It's an insult to every community.
That's an insult to me, yes.
It's an insult because there are so many qualified people out there. But you know what? You're attracted to a department that takes care of you. You're attracted to a department that takes care of the community. And you're attracted to a department that fights crime and helps victims. And you know what? He has forgotten all of that. So right now, in order to recruit, the first thing he did was he called for a group out of England to come help him, which knows nothing about LA County. And that failed.
You didn't go to England, right?
No, we don't need to go to England. I had this sheriff.
Okay.
And I had a great crew who knew exactly what to do.
Does he know that he hires a firm from England to teach him how to recruit?
Well, I think that anyone that pays consultants to come in and try and, quote, upgrade whatever the task at hand was supposed to be upgraded to, doesn't understand the talent inside the organization.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, see, I hire somebody here and tell me how I do my job, how to do my job, like that kind of thing.
It doesn't make any sense.
And I'm not using my money, I'm using taxpayers' money.
That's right, and that's what he just did.
That's the funny part.
Well, he just went to the Board of Supervisors and asked them for a lot of money to bring somebody in so they could tell him what to do. He's the sheriff of Los Angeles County. He is supposed to know what to do. He is supposed to have people in the department doing it. But instead, he's grabbing people from outside the department, spending more than his $3.2 billion budget, and asking for help. The help sits there, and actually the help sits here. All he had to do was pick up the phone, call me, call this sheriff. We would have told him how to hire.
All right,
Because
okay.
we have done it for a combined 88 years.
I see. Because of politics.
It is politics.
Because of politics.
But you have to remember, with 3 years in the largest sheriff's department in the world, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Okay, now, forget that part. Come to you, all right? Now that in no time you'll be the one doing the job, how would you want to start your day? By hiring, by recruiting, because we need officers on the street right there.
Right, and I'll tell you, it doesn't happen that quick. Not my fault, not your fault, not this sheriff's fault. It's the current sheriff who has put us way behind because
Postponed, right.
for 3 years he's failed. And so when you go to hire a deputy sheriff, it's going to take 3 to 6 months. Now, I will tell you, for the last 3 years, he was taking over a year to hire somebody. So he was actually losing the best applicants to other agencies who were hiring them quicker. But we will hire enough people in the first 3 years of my being the sheriff to put us back up to level staffing. And then after that, we won't make the mistake he did. We're not going to quit hiring. We're going to know how to hire. But right now, the community is at risk, because he has almost 1,200 deputy vacancies or sworn vacancies, plus sergeant vacancies, plus lieutenant vacancies, no matter what station you go to. It doesn't matter what patrol station. They're understaffed. And what does that result in? When you pick up the phone and you call for help, they don't show up, or it takes them too long to show up, or they're too busy because they're handling way too many calls.
You're right. So I could turn to sheriff. What he plans to do, does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. You see, personnel is, in effect, a population of people who want to be respected and honored by the boss. And when they know they're not being respected and honored to the fullest extent possible, then the morale goes down in the organization.
Morale, yes.
And the productivity tends to be a little less excellent in certain circumstances. And so what we're trying to do in our conversation with you is to inform the public about their sheriff's department, and that their voice, even if it's in a ballot box every 4 years, has got to have a significant aspect of helping us do a better job and do the job that they're entitled to have because they're taxpayers.
Very good, very
And
good.
Jack,
Okay.
I know that you have viewers that don't live in sheriff's area.
I'm so much in it. I'm even thinking in your shoes about how am I supposed to do the job, like that kind of thing. Because in no time, you'll be the one.
Well, we need your ideas, but I want to remind your viewers that if they live in a city that has its own police department, it doesn't matter. Monterey Park is an example of one. Covina is an example of another. Manhattan Beach. Just because you have your own police department, you still get to vote for sheriff, because those cities are in LA County. So regardless of where you live in LA County,
The whole LA County.
all of LA County, you can vote for sheriff, and it matters, because deputy sheriffs drive through your areas. Deputy sheriffs handle the prisoners. And the sheriff makes the decisions on how long people are going to stay in jails.
All right, okay.
And that's a very important aspect of what's happening today in the community.
Very good, very good. Altogether, we want to make sure that everybody aware of the fact that, number one, we need leadership in the department, or right leadership in the department. Number two, to get the job done needs everybody's efforts.
Yes.
Right? Need everybody's efforts. My dear friend, today in one of the shows talking about the promotion of my dear friend Bob Lancey, commander of LASD, joined by former Sheriff Lee Baca, the Honorable Lee Baca, to the discussion about how to get the job done with the future sheriff. We seem to have touched base with the bottom line issues. The bottom line issue is that it is our LA County. It is our backyard. If we do not care, nobody else from New York will care about LA County,
That's right.
right? We are the ones supposed to care about our own county. So now, the way for you to care about our county is that to actually vote.
That's right.
To actually vote. It doesn't make any sense if you say, I supported my lovely LA County, and yet you do not even vote, or you forget that on voting day. So that makes sense. Doesn't make sense. Well, please do make sure that you vote, your friends vote, your family members, others vote, and whoever your coworkers, check around with them. Did you vote, or are you voting? That kind of thing. Okay, let's take a very short moment out. When we come back, we'll touch base with you in other aspects. So stay with us. Hello, dear friends of the audience. This is my dear fellow Angelinos. Welcome back to the show, Jack Xiao, on the East-West Show with the G&E TV. Talking about our LA County, Essex County, talking about our LA County Sheriff Department. With me today, to the honor of my great team, we are visited by the Honorable Sheriff, former Sheriff Lee Baca of LASD. Once again, sir, welcome to the show. Right, thank you very much. And he is here to support, to endorse, to support one of his commanders. Of course, it is obviously the best, the only, Bob Lindsay, for county sheriff. And not only doing that, he is also sharing his thought about why he is doing so. Right? And with him, of course, the main character, Bob Lindsay, the candidate for county sheriff. In my eye, he's sheriff already. I almost served him this morning. That's her, like that kind of thing. Anyway, I believe he's qualified. He's very qualified. From as much as I know about the mindset, from as much as I know about his experiences of doing the job, from as much I know the way he understands, the depth he understands the LA County, I believe he is the one. He is nothing but the one, only the one, like that kind of thing. Speaking of that, though, I know LA County is the biggest county of the United States, and the LA County Department, the Sheriff Department, is the biggest sheriff department, police department of the world, if I'm right.
It's the largest sheriff's department, yes.
Right? Over the world. So how do you differentiate the LA County and the County Sheriff Department from the rest of the folks?
You know, Jack, when you look at the sheriff's department from the outside, nobody really realizes how huge it is. We can say there's 18,000 employees, but they're everywhere. They're in the transit systems, they're in the community colleges, they're in the courts, they're in the jails, they're in the patrol division, they're in scientific services. We have all sorts of computer people and jobs that are available within the sheriff's department. The types of positions, the vast array of things that we do, whether we're in the harbor, patrolling in the harbor, whether it's at Avalon Station, Catalina, it is a huge undertaking. And that's why it's so important. And besides that, knowing all of those units, knowing everything in it, including the detective divisions and the trap, which does auto vehicle theft, and we could go on for an hour. It's not only knowing all of the units, it's knowing the heart of the organization. It's knowing the history of the organization and how it's made its way from 1850 all the way to 2018. The mistakes that have been made, so we don't make the same mistakes. All of those things, when you have a history with a department, You know, you feel it. It's like riding a bike. If I go out and I ride the bike today and my dad teaches me or my mom teaches me how to ride it and I go back out tomorrow, I'm going to know how to ride that bike. When you come into our department, you don't know how to ride that bike. So you have to learn how to ride it. And it takes a long time to ride this bike if you don't have training wheels. And when you're the sheriff, we don't have time for training wheels because the world doesn't stop. It doesn't just stop and say, hey, wait, we're going to get ready for you to learn what you're doing.
Yeah, of course,
You have to know what you're doing. And so when we talk about the sheriff's department, it's also unique in this regard. This sheriff can tell you, and I'd like to hear from this sheriff, but he mentioned earlier, you report to the community. You report to the people. You're responsible to the people. And you know what? The community is your family. If something goes wrong out there, you feel bad about it because you're supposed to protect the community.
Right. That's the mindset I'm talking about.
When you have a police chief in the cities, they don't really report to the community. They report to the mayor and the city council. And the city council drives them to do what they're supposed to do. And they guide them. The sheriff doesn't get any guidance. The sheriff makes his decisions. The sheriff needs to be a leader. And that's what you had in Sheriff Baca. That's what you had with Sherman Block. And that's what you had with Peter Pitchess. That is desperately what the department needs today, is leadership. Because the employees, they're ready to work. They want to work. But under this sheriff, they've quit working.
All right.
May I do that?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Let me say this, to add to Bob's very illuminating comments. The Sheriff's Department itself had 19 youth centers with thousands of young people having activities that were positive, interacting with deputy sheriffs who were teaching them skills.
The youth centers.
The youth centers. Those centers have been decimated by the absence of support financially from contributors abroad who wanted to help the Sheriff's Department and help these children.
I see.
In other words, managing the details that Bob alluded to. There are literally hundreds of pieces of services that the deputies and the professional staff provide the public. Those services have been compromised because of budget overruns.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
I had one budget overrun in my entire 16 years in the service of a sheriff position. And I corrected that problem in the following fiscal year in order to balance back what that loss was. This sheriff has not been able to
How many
reconcile.
drivers did you have?
I only had one driver in terms of any time I was in the car.
Okay.
And you know, to have an excess of more than one is spending taxpayer dollars for the wrong reason.
All right, good.
So the key to reducing crime is to have one, public trust, two, deal with the more difficult things like gangs in a way that the public understands that we're not here to be abusive, but we're trying to make the community safer. And so with an awful lot of the confusion that goes on in the media, the next sheriff, as I was the sheriff, I responded to the media. I don't ever really see this sheriff responding
You don't shy
much
away
to the media.
or hide numbers or statistics from the public?
Well, the media is given access to anything they would like from the Sheriff's Department. But I'm speaking now about the concept of the sheriff has to speak for whatever the public concerns are. If they think we've made mistakes, then I go out and I reconcile the public's interests by giving them facts as opposed to sending surrogates out there, especially in shootings and particularly in circumstances like we've had in the past where individual is shot and killed by a deputy. Then it's up to me to go out and reconcile with the family what the process is and not be hiding in the offices not willing to do that kind of work.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, Jack, let me say that this sheriff here, because when you asked that question, this sheriff here was transparent. So when the media asked questions, he answered the questions. When the media asked for information from within inside the department, he supplied it. This sheriff does not. He's hiding things. And not only is he hiding things regarding investigations, he's hiding things about his expenditures. He hides just about whatever he can if
Remember
he believes...
last time we talked about the crime rate thing?
Right, but he hides everything that he thinks will look bad for him, to the point that, if you don't know, the LA Times is suing him right now because he's not releasing information that he is mandated to release by law. In essence, the sheriff is breaking the law.
Okay. All right. My dear audiences, as we go, the more we go, the more serious we see the department, about the department. It is really, really, I hate to use the word corrupted. I really feel that kind of way that we need the right hand, the right man to walk in, to twist it, to correct it.
May I add one other thing? We have 42 contract cities. Each mayor and each city council is the reporting process through the chains of commands, and also the deputies know they're working for that city. That city pays the county for the service under a contract system. To me, there's nothing more effective than those cities that govern over their public safety program as cities. And yet, at the same time, the sheriff is responsible for making sure that the contracts are honored and fulfilled with the money that the cities pay for the service. And so it's a business process with a humanistic result that's very, very effective. And to me, each of these cities is a part of the strength of public accountability.
All right, that makes lots of sense. My dear friends, today we're touching base with the department. When I say the department, we brought a former sheriff here to talk about the department. And we're touching base about the future being in Bob Lindsay's hand, how he handles. Now, with the back and the future versus the current, though, we know exactly what's wrong. All right? You have the previous, you have the current, you have the future. Well, the answer is right there without asking. Let's take a short moment now. When we come back, we put all the pieces together, right? We'll see how we want to run with a brand new sheriff department led by a strong leadership with rich experiences in history, with a broader sense of outreach, who or which reports to the community. I like the word report.
Yes.
Stay with us. Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show We Like You. We are, as a quote from my boss, James Su, a responsible media. Being that we don't want just to knock a hole in the wall and then we run. We don't do that. Number one, we do never knock a hole in the wall. Number two, if we did by accident, though, I stand there until somebody comes over and say, hey, I did it. So that means responsible. All right. As a responsible media, looking around this country, though, a big part of the problem is caused by the irresponsible media. So learning from that, we really want to get involved in making sure that LA County Sheriff Department gets a strong leadership. The strong leadership be my friend Bob Lindsay. I'm not in the department, but I've been doing more than a dozen shows with him. I know him, thoroughly now. All right. Now, with the testimony on leadership from Honorable former Sheriff Lee Baca, I start to see the back then department. And with the current problems, I know the concurrent department, right? And then we're talking about a future department among the three. Of course, when all the three laid on the same level, though, we know exactly what's wrong. Okay, now it's up to you how you want to swap around. Like I said, community. I recall that in the first segment, Honorable Lee Baca mentioned the word report to the community, right? And you repeatedly use the word report the community. And to me, I really like that because community is known as to be your eyes and ears, your extended eyes or ears, or that. With that as a factor, how do you want together, especially the Asian Special Task Force, that I feel a pain. I learned a lot from Tom Yu about the department, how you want to restore it if you do, and the recruitment you mentioned already, everything. It looks like it's a house being kind of messed up. You want to arrange it, and then, well, lots of a job laid up. How do you want to do it?
You know, this is a very humble sheriff, and he mentioned earlier that Sherman Block built programs for the community. When Sheriff Baca came in, he didn't destroy those, he made them bigger. He built them like a house. And when he got done, there were so many community groups, many of the community groups that worked. So he brought the community into the sheriff's department. When this sheriff came in, he threw those groups away. He threw them out back onto the streets, and he doesn't communicate with them anymore. So he doesn't have a feel for what the community feels. The Asian Crime Task Force is a perfect example of that. Here you have a sheriff who says there is no crime in the Asian community, so we don't need the task force. But yet we had Tom Yu sitting in this seat, super detective,
living testifying
about the murders, about people that are coming into business and strong-arming them, and the organized crime. And all of these things exist. It doesn't help you to close your eyes. It doesn't go away, it's still there. So this sheriff has his eyes closed to these things. And so for him not to bring back the Asian Crime Task Force severely injures the Asian community. So all of these groups have to come back together.
You recommended him that be restored, right? He restored.
I've recommended multiple times that he restore it, and he knows he should, but he doesn't because he's not running the department appropriately. It's the same thing as he did when he lost the contract for Metro.
Okay.
He did not realize the impact because he does not understand all of the working parts of the department. When he lost the contract based on
that's a big contract.
Well, it's part of it. He lost part of it, but it was big. It was very big. This sheriff built that, and he came in and destroyed it. But what happened when you lose that part of the contract, it impacts all these contract cities. Because you see, it's just like families. We pool our insurance. So when everybody's paying into the insurance fund and you lose a part of the family, this part has to pay more. And so all of the contract cities ended up raising their rates, costing more for a deputy sheriff, costing more for service, and if they can't afford it, what does that mean to the community? You have less deputies. You have less service. But he does not understand the dynamics of the budget. And that's why he's overspending his budget by $200 million in overtime and another 20 or 30 million on the other side of his shop. He's in trouble. He doesn't know how to run the budget, and he definitely doesn't know how to run personnel.
All right. I would say any department, there are two major factors. Number one, your manpower.
Yes.
Number two, your money. Right?
Yes.
When this person, be it he or she, fails to handle the manpower, and again fails to handle his money though, what else can he handle? Can she handle? manpower and money. These two most important resources. My dear audiences, I'm really scared to learn the fact that there are people who can fail at the same time the manpower and money. People always say, give me money, I have the man, right? Or give me the man, I have the money, right? Like give me the man, give me the money, I miss it, and then, so it doesn't make sense. So in your hand, between manpower and money though, and those things that I believe that you will balance.
Well, manpower and money have to talk to each other. There's no talking going on.
I see.
He has completely failed on the manpower side, so his money side is exploding, and he doesn't know how to manage it because he doesn't have any people here. But I want to make it very clear. He has the money to hire the people. He failed to hire the people. That's a big difference.
And then problem gets accumulated, you're snowballing to a point that anybody who comes over had to take care of, you mentioned about 3 to 6 months of training, right?
Right. Well, and not only because he's having so much trouble with his money side and his people side that it impacts training. So now you don't have people being trained. You don't have people receiving officer safety training. You don't have them receiving training that they need to keep the school safe. You don't have them training in many aspects. He's overspent his budget, and they just had a story.
And then you lose the contract.
Well, they just had a story come out today. It was on one of the websites where he has not been able to purchase $30,000 worth of a machine that tests the blood in the crime lab. So he has the sheriff's department going to Orange County to have them test the blood. So now he's paying Orange County to do what he's supposed to be doing in LA County, and his employees are having to drive to Orange County and drive back and do all this and pay them when he spends $30,000 on stickers. He spent more than $1 million on stickers for his cars, $1 million on belt buckles, and now he can't afford a machine to test blood.
Only $30,000
in his crime lab.
Yeah, right. Okay, good. All right. And those are almost I wrote an article on the website talking about the buckles, the belt buckles, and talking about the stickers. You remember that? I got lots of response. They say, "Are you serious?"
Oh, and see, he's hiding. He's hiding the true cost, though. The LA Times will report $300,000 and some odd $1,000. But he's hiding the fact that he had to get rid of all his silver buckles that were in stock. He's hiding the fact of all the employee costs. He's hiding the fact of all the other costs associated with it because he does not want the public to really know the truth.
He's a politician anyway. All right, good.
He's a politician.
All right, get rid of politics of, get politics out of the department.
That's right.
Probably is the only solution. Today, we're over time. We're way over. But we are, I'm happy we did it. And today, especially when Honorable Lee Baca visits this studio and shed lights on this issue and explains why he will do so. And we feel that this makes the community even stronger. And to Bob, I thank you very much for running, and also thank you for your work so far, so good. And please never take it for granted. And I know that you have some 2 weeks time for the absentee ballot, and we another 2 more weeks, and then there's going to actual vote, right? So I want to give you 30 seconds to wrap it up, please.
Thank you, Jack. And I just want to say thank you to all the viewers, all of your audience, because I know how much they love you. And I know how much research you've done on me. This wasn't easy because you didn't just say, hey, I'm going to vote for you. You didn't say, hey, I'm on your team. You studied.
Homework.
And you figured out what was wrong with the department. And then when we had our conversation, we had long discussions about the things that were hurting the community. And so thank you for caring about this community, Jack. It's very important.
Thank you.
And now we need people to vote and care about their own community. Because if they don't make a change, if we don't remove this sheriff from office, the next 4 years are going to get worse. There will be more homeless, there will be more crime, there will be more danger, and I'm concerned about our schools, and we could talk for the next 10 minutes. But vote. Go to bob4sheriff.com, look at my website, and please go out June 5th and vote.
Thank you very much. Now, Honorable Baca, your 30 seconds to wrap it up, please.
Well, let me say this. We have a great society here in the United States. Los Angeles County has been an amazing place for me to have been born here and raised here. And I believe that the public itself is a very, very important asset to our nation. Without the people, we don't have a nation. And I want to ensure everyone who has listened to your program how much I appreciate the opportunity to share with Bob. What we want to do is to help our society become more effective with their challenges, and for us to be an ally to them so that they're safe at all times.
And thank you for your non-stop service.
Yes.
All right, good.
Yes.
So, my dear audience, we love you.
Take care.
So we'll be back, okay? We'll be back over and over again doing the same issue to make sure that he is elected. So, next time.